Hey friend, on today's episode, I'm going to share with you 3 things you need to go and clear out of your cupboards right now if you are on a health and fitness or weight loss journey. And I'm going to tell you 3 things you should definitely add to your grocery list if you are wanting to lose weight. So go grab a pen and paper. We're going to get started. Hey friend, welcome to Rest, Fuel, Move. I'm your host SJ. I'm an outspoken Christian women's health advocate, productivity guru, daughter of the king, and a 40-something mum to a sassy, independent daughter. I'm here to arm you with the knowledge you need to better understand your body and mind so that you can live a life free of diets, fitness fads, and comparison. If you are ready to finally lose weight sustainably, to learn how to consistently make the best choices for your health, follow a simple eating plan, and finally enjoy your exercise routine, all while keeping God at the centre of it all, then this is the podcast for you. Friend, grab your Bible, fill up your water bottle, and lace up those shoes. It's time to get fit. Hey friend, now before we get started, I want to invite you to come and be a part of our community. Come and join us each Sunday at 8 o'clock UK time for pause, pray and plan. We're going to come together. We're going to take a big deep breath and just breathe and just rest in the presence of God. Then we are going to pray together as a community of Christian women. We're going to support each other. We are going to pray for things that are on our heart, things that are going on in the world. And then we're going to take some time to plan the week together. You might use this time to plan and do some time blocking in your calendar, your schedule. You might use this time to do some meal planning. You can plan whatever it is that you need to plan. And we're going to be here holding each other accountable and just checking in with each other and looking after each other as a lovely, lovely, wonderful community. So the link to be a part of that is in the show notes. It's completely free. Come and join us. I would love to see you there. Okay, in today's episode, we're going to be looking at 3 things you should clear out of your cupboards and 3 things you should add or buy more of if you are on a health and fitness journey, if you are on a weight loss journey. Now, if you've ever done one of the standard diets, there's always a list of foods that you should eat, list of foods that you shouldn't eat. And that's kind of the way a lot of these sort of commercial diets go, isn't it? It's these are the things that are considered to be okay, or these are the things that are considered or foods that you shouldn't be eating, or they're assigned a numerical value. I really kind of want to take all of that away because that is the way that the world does it. That isn't God's way. And it's also the thing that causes us to fail. We allocate this sort of emotional attachment to food in the sense of good foods and bad foods. And I really want to step away from that idea because that isn't what being healthy is about. Being healthy is about having a balance. It's about enjoying every single food, because ultimately all of the food that we have in the world is a gift from God in some form. But obviously some of it is going to be better for our bodies than others. But that really doesn't mean that you can't have some foods. Now, take today, for example. I was out with my family. This weekend, we have something here in the UK called Open Farm Sunday, where a lot of the farms in the area sort of open their doors to the local community, and people can go around and learn more about farming, learn more about the way that their food is produced. And it's a really, really wonderful opportunity for people to see the work and the effort that goes into creating the produce and creating local produce and supporting local farmers, local suppliers. And at this event, there is a company that is a local company to us that is an ice cream company. And they make the most wonderful, beautiful ice cream. And I knew they were going to be at this event. And I was like, there is no way that I am not having ice cream. I don't have ice cream every single day, but there was no way that I wasn't going to go to something like this and not have some of their amazing ice cream. Because ultimately, that ice cream is made from milk from cows, and God made those cows, and the people that make the ice cream and came up with the formulation, that's all come from God. But ultimately, what we need to think about is, if we were eating ice cream every single day, well, of course, that's not going to be great for us. But enjoying some things occasionally and having a really good balance, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I did not attach any kind of emotion to that ice cream. I didn't give myself a hard time for having it. I just enjoyed it in that moment for this amazing food that it was and is. And I spent some time this week digging into 1 Corinthians, and digging into chapter 10. And in particular, verses 23 and 31. So I'm going to just start with 1 Corinthians 10, verse 23. And in my translation, which I often talk about my Bible and how I love this gorgeous, beautiful, creative Bible where you can colour in some of the scriptures and you can make notes down the side. It's a New Living Translation, so you might have a different translation to me, but I've also put the link to this Bible in the show notes because I think it's beautiful. I love that Chloe can colour it in as well with some coloured pencils, and it's the kind of Bible that I think I just want to pass down to her, a bit like I think some people call them legacy Bibles, don't they? But I want to kind of give this to her and let her kind of make her own marks in it as well. Anyway, so 1 Corinthians 10 verse 23 says, "You say I am allowed to do anything, but not everything is good for you. You say I am allowed to do anything, but not everything is beneficial." So really, the question, and this is why I was talking about the ice cream, is yeah, of course, you're allowed to do anything. You're allowed to eat some ice cream. No one is going to put you in prison because if you choose to eat ice cream every single day. But I think this is one of the things where your average diet, the society, the way that society labels food is, it's not just about avoiding what is harmful, because of course we can label every single food as being bad and being harmful. And I bet you, when you have been on a diet, you have said, no, I can't have this and I can't have that. And you totally sort of have this complete cold turkey, I guess, approach to, right, I'm not going to eat any of these foods ever again. And then you get to the point where you're just oh my gosh, I just really, really want that food. And then you eat it and you give yourself a hard time. And then you give up and you quit on your diet because you can't do it. So I think this is where diets, because I don't believe in diets, where they fall down. And this is where I want you to be doing things differently. I want you to be healthy. I want you to be fit. If weight loss is your goal, which I know for so many of you it is, and that's why you listen to me, weight loss is important, and I get that. But the way that we go about it needs to be different, because we as Christians, we step out into the world with a completely different perspective on the world. And this also applies to the way that we eat, the way that we look after our physical bodies. So it's not just about avoiding what is harmful, but pursuing what is good. So reframe the question, rather than thinking how harmful is this food to me? Think about, what good can this be for me? So let's go back to my ice cream. I know that I shouldn't be eating ice cream every single day because that is not going to be good for me. What good can that be for me? Well, not really. From a long-term perspective, if I am having ice cream every single day, that isn't going to be good for me. But on today's outing, I was looking forward to having that ice cream. I was looking forward to sitting down with my family and just enjoying that food for what it is in that particular moment. It wasn't about knowing that it was harmful. It wasn't about labeling it as bad. It was about actually, what good can this be for me? And it was something that I was looking forward to. It was something that I enjoy. And I hope that that can kind of help you to see the difference. And when you think about healthy eating and weight loss as a bigger question, if you are going about your day-to-day life and thinking about the food that you're eating and you're pursuing what is good for you, you're going to make completely different choices. And if you're asking yourself in your mind the question of, what good can this be for me? I think that's going to make you think very, very differently about the choices that you make when you go and do your food shopping, when you're doing your meal planning. I really think that's such an important question for us to be asking ourselves, not just when it comes to like the food that we eat, but the way that we exercise, the people that we're around, the jobs that we do. Like, that's the question for us really to think about every single day. Because as it says in verse 23, you are allowed to do anything, but not everything is good for you. I am allowed to do anything, but not everything is beneficial. And I think that verse is such a good verse to keep returning to when you are having struggles, perhaps with like food and the types of food that you're choosing. I don't know, like get a screenshot of that quote, like find one of those images on Google and use that as the background to your phone, or write it on a post-it note and put it somewhere where it's going to help you to remember that. Because that's something I think that could be really helpful particularly if you're on a weight loss journey and you're struggling with your relationship with food, when you're struggling with the temptations of different types of foods, just thinking about and digging into, is this beneficial? But not everything is beneficial. I think that's such a key sentence. Okay, so let's dig into the other verse that I was talking about earlier, which is 1 Corinthians 10 verse 31. So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God. Okay. Like, that's kind of like one of those sort of like mic drop verses. Everything that you do, you're doing it for the glory of God. Now, our life isn't about seeing like what we can get away with. It's not like a game of like hide and seek with God, or, we're trying to like do things behind God's back and try and get away with it. Actually, everything that we do on the day-to-day basis as Christians should be about glorifying Him in some way or another. And if you think about it when it comes to food, okay, it's like you're standing in your kitchen, I'm talking about myself here because I've done this. Like, I've stood in my kitchen and I've gone to the fridge or the cupboards and I've just grabbed like a couple of sweets or a couple of mouthfuls or something of crisps or snacks or something like that, and I've just eaten it. And it's kind of like, oh, I'm hiding it from everybody else and nobody can see me. But God can. Like, He's watching, He knows, and you know that you're trying to kind of like almost see what you can get away with. That isn't about doing things for the glory of God, is it? And this isn't about me kind of like trying to guilt you or shame you into something. But I think like as Christians, like our job in everything that we do, the way that we live our lives, is about glorifying God. And I think we do that in such a good way. And I think the church teaches us so well to do this, to be kind to people, to help people who are homeless. You might be involved in kids' church, like all of these different things. But I really believe that your physical body is a huge part of that, because we don't want to be like, it's kind of like messing around, if you like, with smoking, with taking drugs. It's like, oh, should we see what we can get away with? We know that alcohol, for example, is not good for us. It's not beneficial for us. It's not for the glory of God. Like, those things are temptations. And if we go back to that original question, is I am allowed to do anything, but not everything is beneficial. Well, we know that smoking, we know that drinking alcohol, like, yes, it's legal. You are allowed, if you are an adult, to do these things, but you know that they're not beneficial. Just like I know I'm in my kitchen, like hiding the fact that I'm eating from other people. Why am I doing that? Because I know that that isn't beneficial. And I know it's not actually glorifying myself. It's certainly not glorifying God. And ultimately, like Paul, within these passages, within these verses, his main desire is for people to be saved. And for us as Christians, like, that's what we want. We want people to open their heart to God. We want them to be saved as well. And this is why, and I am going to come to the 3 things like I promise, but this is why I wonder if us as a group of believers, like if we really focused on our physical health as much as we do on our spiritual health, and all of the wonderful things that you do in your church, in your community, looking after people, supporting homeless people, giving to charity. Like, I wonder if we looked after our own physical health and supported other people with their physical health, I wonder how attractive that would look to non-believers. Because can you imagine it? Like, if we were all going around and we're happy and we're joyful because we know God and we're looking after our bodies and we're fit and we're healthy and we're energetic and we're just bringing this like wonderful energy into the room all the time, like people are going to turn around and be like, oh, what are you doing? You know how when you're on a diet, people are like, oh, what diet are you doing? That's what they're going to be asking. And actually our diet, it's not a diet, it's God. It's being a Christian. And what if we were looking after our bodies as well as our spiritual health? If we were looking after our physical health as much as our spiritual health, I wonder how many people would want to be part of our community and who would be saved. And I'm just going to leave that there for the moment. And I am going to go back to some of the things that I think can help you in this journey when it comes to actual physical things. Because yes, I can sit here and I can talk about scriptures and verses in the Bible, but actually what does that look like on the ground? Because this stuff's hard. Like, temptation is there all the time. Temptation in the world is hard. Like, that's what the enemy's trying to do. He's trying to like distract us. He's trying to take our focus away from God. So let's talk about things that you have in your cupboard that potentially are things that are not beneficial to you. So let's go back to that scripture, verse 23 in my Bible, and it says, I am allowed to do anything, but not everything is beneficial. So if I was to come to your kitchen, to your pantry, to your cupboards today, there are 3 things I would take out of there right now. If you were saying to me, SJ, I want to lose weight. My goal is to lose weight, to be healthier and fitter. These are the 3 things I would take out of your cupboard and I put them in a bin bag right now. The first one is alcohol. And the reason why, like, alcohol does not serve you in any way, shape or form. There is no nutritional benefits. It gives you like this short term, like, yeah, that was great, you know, oh, I've had a drink, it's taken the edge off my stressful day, and it gives you a hangover. It makes you dehydrated. It makes you more likely to overeat when you drink. So the first thing I would get rid of in your cupboards is alcohol. Number 2 would be crisps, or for those of you over in America and Canada, we call them crisps. I think you guys call them chips. I would get rid of those. Like the big bags, the small bags, the multi-pack bags, the flavors of all of the different things. I would get rid of those and I would put those in the bin. And the reason why is because, like, let's be honest, like, how easy is it to think, oh, do you know what? I'm hungry. What shall I grab? What shall I just eat? And you could sit there in front of the TV and watch a program and just eat a whole bag of crisps or chips to yourself. And it's like mindless eating that has barely any nutritional value to it whatsoever. And there's a whole sort of school of thought at the moment about vegetable oils and the negative impacts of vegetable oils on your weight. And I'm going to do a podcast episode about that. So I would get rid of alcohol. I would get rid of crisps, chips, whatever you want to call them. And then I would also get rid of biscuits and like those cakey type things. Those are the things that would go in the bin, because again, with the biscuits, it's like high sugar. It's got like lots of like corn syrup. It's got lots of vegetable oils. It's got lots of fats and things like that in it. I would just get those and put them in a bin bag. And what would I replace them with? If I was coming to visit you and we were going through your cupboards, I would get rid of those 3 things: the alcohol, the crisps, the chips, the biscuits, the cakes. If I was coming to your house, I would bring you a gift. And the gift in my little like food hamper for you would be eggs, like fresh free range, like grass-fed, grass-finished eggs, whatever. I know, like in the UK and in America and Canada, like things have different names. Like I know that, and I'm very aware of like some of the differences of different types of foods and different costs. But if you can get the highest quality eggs that you can afford, like get those in your house, because there is so much that you can do with eggs. You can eat them for breakfast, you can eat them for lunch, you can eat them for dinner. There's so many different types of meals that you can make with them. Like they're the kind of food that's quite easy to get in your kids, and it's just such a great food that is quick, that is easy, that is nutritious. So I would bring you some eggs. I would bring some bananas, because bananas are amazing foods as well. They are the kind of thing that you can do so much with. You can eat them at any time of the day. You can make things with them. You can eat them on their own. They can go in your bag. You can eat them before a workout. You can eat them after a workout. They're just a great, simple, nutritious snack that is just super convenient and really, really affordable. Like eggs and bananas are really affordable. Okay, number 3, I would bring you some form of protein, preferably like a high quality meat that is locally produced. And we were talking about my visit to the open farm day and like the locally produced meats and all of the wonderful foods that were there. Try and find like a farmer's market. Try and shake the hand of the person who has made that food. I think that's one of the best ways that you can get high quality food. And I know it's really difficult. Like we're talking about, like we're living in a time where, you know, the cost of living is high. And I'm saying to you, go out and spend more money on meat and get good quality protein. But if your health is your priority, if weight loss is a priority for you right now, that's one of the things that is going to be the biggest benefit to you, is getting good quality protein and lots of it in your diet. If you scroll down in this podcast, there is a whole episode all about protein, and why it is important. And if you have any questions about like protein, how much protein you should be having and planning it into your like family's meal plan, come and join us. Like these are the kind of questions that you can ask me when we come together in this pause, pray and plan sessions. Like you can bring this kind of question and you can ask me and pick my brains for free. So I would bring you eggs, banana and meat, like locally produced, high quality, super amazing meat. And I would also bring you a bonus food, which is one of my favorite hacks when it comes to weight loss, is I would bring you some locally produced honey, because oh my goodness, honey is just like the sweetest and most amazing thing. If you are on a weight loss journey and you struggle with sweet cravings, go get yourself some locally produced honey. Like get rid of the candy, get rid of the sweets, get that stuff out of your house. Just get a big jar of good quality honey, organic if you can, locally produced, because locally produced honey also helps if you struggle with hay fever as well. Side note, get some local honey, and if you need a sugar hit, just get yourself like a little teaspoon and take a teaspoon of honey, and you will get that like sugar hit that you need, and your body's going to be like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. And you're just getting like honey. You're not getting any other negative ingredients. Your body can process honey. If you think about like indigenous people, indigenous populations, they're not worried about eating honey. Like they go and collect honey and they eat it and they love it. And our bodies can process that kind of sugar. So those would be my gifts to you. And go back to those verses. Go and dig out your Bible. Go back to 1 Corinthians 10. Read verse 23, go back to verse 31. Think about, yes, you are allowed to do anything, but what is beneficial to you? And also, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you drink, do it for the glory of God. And I really hope today's episode blesses you. I really hope with all my heart that everything I do in this podcast is for God's glory. I hope it helps you. If it does, I would love to hear from you. Send me an email and please come and join us for the Pause, Pray and Plan sessions on Zoom. It would be amazing. You can bring any questions that you have about nutrition, healthy eating, exercise. I'd love to answer them as well. Have an amazing day, my friend. I am thinking of you. I am praying for you, and I look forward to connecting with you in the next episode.